that as a business owner, whether you're just getting started or you've been in business a long time, what I have found is that it's never too early to start using systems to make your business run smoother and to create predictable income. Hi, I'm Melanie Benson-Strick, and I'm known as America's leading small business optimizer. And my podcast here is all about finding the unique and the very powerful ways that you can make your business perform better, oftentimes letting you work less in the business. There's nothing better than finding some more ways to do things that you love. Would you agree? So, of course, I want to bring a new friend of mine to the show today, someone who is very, very powerful in the systems conversation, but is also out there doing some really extraordinary research, uncovering things that we might not even realize are compromising our sales or causing us to maybe have the results we don't want, and finding things that work to make our businesses boom. So let me introduce you to Kim Flynn. Now, Kim is a best-selling author. She's a speaker. She's a trainer for women in business. And she's also doing some really unique, extraordinary things, partnering with people, which is how we met, to help serve more of the women out there who are maybe struggling with their businesses and finding it hard to balance all the different capes and superhero roles that we're trying to step into. So, Kim, thanks so much for joining me today.
I'm so happy to be here, Melanie.
I'm excited to hear. Yeah,
so happy to chat with you.
Yeah, good. So let's get started with just share with us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing in the world as you work with women.
Yeah. So this year, 2016, next year, we are hosting about 200 events across the country. We're going to be hosting retreats in 16 different cities and our freebie preview events in 47 different cities. So we're doing big things. But if you want to rewind this quite a few years, I have not always known what I was doing in business. I really, really struggled those first, I'd say, 5 years in business. So I started my first company when I was in my early 20s and was so on fire with this business, wanted to have this national franchise and make a real difference. And I actually had the misfortune of listening to someone that I shouldn't have listened to. So a woman came over to my house when I was younger, in my young 20s. At that point, my business had about 30 employees. It's a different business than this one. And I was so on fire with that business. You know that space where you're just can't wait to get up in the morning because you're so excited about it. And this woman came over to my house, and I'm sure well-intentioned, but she sat me down and she said, Kim, you're out of alignment. And then she went on to tell me you can either be successful in your business or you can be successful at home as a parent. You kind of have to choose. And I know it sounds like 1950, but I thought, well, if I have a choice, I'm going to play in family, right? And so I really just dialed it way back and started telling people that I had a hobby business. That's why now, crazy, huh? That's why now when I hear people say I have a hobby business, I know exactly where they're at because I was there for so many years, trapped in the hobby business lie and trapped in the lie that said that women cannot be successful in both family and business. So now I'm on a mission, teaching not just women but men as well, how to automate, systematize their businesses so that they can grow to their potential.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me just acknowledge that you've done such an extraordinary job of modeling how to make that work, because I do think a lot of people get trapped in that. And oftentimes the messenger that comes in doesn't necessarily have the message that's best for us. So you have to kind of check in for alignment on these things. And, choices don't necessarily mean you have to choose one or the other. It means you can choose both, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, but let's talk about systems. And, you and I both are very passionate about systems, but I know a lot of people go, systems, you're going to take away my freedom. You're going to take all my creativity away.
I know.
What does systems really mean to your business?
Let's talk about systems, because whenever you introduce that topic, everyone has their own ideas of what systems are.
Yeah.
My favorite example of systems is actually McDonald's. So everyone has had a better hamburger than McDonald's, right? I know I have. They do not have the best product on the planet, but they are the most successful franchise for restaurants on the planet. And the reason is because of systems. You can go into any McDonald's in the country and you'll see the fry station on the left through. I know this because I worked at Burger King when I was a teenager, but if you open up any hamburger, you'll see like 2 squirts of ketchup, 1 squirt of mustard, and 2 pickles, right? So everything is systematized. Their leadership is systematized, training is systematized, product, obviously, marketing, everything is. And so that is how you can take a really bad product like a McDonald's hamburger and make a really successful. Small businesses, we often have the opposite problem. We have a really good product and really bad systems. No marketing system, no leadership system, no product system. And so who is more successful? The one with the systems is always the more successful, right? So what would happen if we could take your brilliant, really good small business product and apply big business systems to it? That's when you start seeing success.
I like that. And to me, what it means to me is that you're going to take something, or I'm going to take something that I need to do anyway, and we're going to take the extra processing and all the places where things are going to break down because I'm trying to remember, and I'm going to create freedom because I can make sure it's done well. So now I've got more time to do the other things that allow me to use my creativity. So to me, systems create predictable outcomes, and they allow me to do things well the first time, or my team, or whoever's going to be using them. So I love that we're going to talk about this today because I think a lot of people are not using the systems they need the most, whether it's about creating income or making their businesses run better.
Yeah.
What are some of the systems that everybody should have? Maybe we'll just focus on a couple because I know we could probably go through a list of at least 25.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So 2 different types of things. Before we get into that, though, I'm excited to get there. The very first thing I ask my clients when they come to my retreats, the very first thing I ask them is, where do you want to be 5 years from now?
Ooh, good question.
Choices. Do you want to be where you're at? Choice 1. Do you want to systematize and work fewer hours? That's what you're talking about, that freedom principle. You absolutely can run a business on 3 hours, 5 hours a week, but you have to systematize it first. I did that with my previous business that I sold a couple of years ago. Had about 30 employees, and I was working like 3 hours a week. So that's if you have kids or if you're sick of working. So that's option number 2. Option number 3 is systematize and sell that baby. And option number 4 is systematize and just grow it to its potential. So notice that everything, if you want to have success there, involves systems. So what types of systems do you need? 2 different types of systems. One is ongoing, like every single day, every week, every month, you do this for marketing, you do this for finance, you do this for leadership, you do this for product. So constantly ongoing systems. The other type of systems are event systems. So my definition of an event is anything that's triggered by an action. So let's say you go to a networking group, that's the trigger, and then you do all the follow-ups and everything else with those people. Happens, right? And so there are usually about 20 to 50 of those event systems in any business. So it takes my clients about 3 days at our retreats to systematize their business, lay that foundation, that framework down, but it can take you up to 6-9 months to get everything systematized.
Yeah, and especially because you're putting things into action and then you're seeing what works, what doesn't, where do I need to refine, et cetera.
Yeah.
What's happening when people avoid or maybe kind of brush off this systemizing some of these income producing activities? What's happening for them?
What happens is you get stuck in this beautiful golden hamster wheel of a business that the company cannot run without you. Very successful in business with 6-7 figure incomes, and they are just stuck on this hamster wheel. Nothing will run without them running in that hamster wheel. So that's exactly what happens. You can't hire yourself out. You can't scale your business if everything is reliant on your brain.
Yeah. And I've seen this is where people get stuck where they actually don't get to take vacations and, they're working to have time with their families someday, but they're not really having it now. And, I know for me, when I got to the point where I knew I needed more systems, there was a place where I realized I was now the bottleneck. Like everything was having to be decided by me or created by me or figured out by me. And I thought, and I know we've talked about this before, these bottlenecks, but that bottleneck point is where I think if everything has to go through you and you have to touch every single thing, there's definitely an opportunity for some more systems in your business.
So Melody, I want to show you this Post-it note. It's on my computer right now. I don't know if you can see that. It says, growing my business is 100% about letting go of control. Isn't that funny?
That's a great one to remember, yes.
It's so important. It's so hard. So the reason why we're successful in business is because we are control freaks, right? We make sure the job gets done. That's why we're successful.
Yeah.
So you get to a certain point in business and all of a sudden you have employees, and that one strength that made you the most successful will actually be your downfall. That control piece of everything that you have to touch. And so systems is kind of like a soft bridge between the control freak nature in you and your ability to succeed. So if you build out the systems, and you can have those systems that you built out, you build them out, then you'll feel so much more comfortable handing them off to employees, knowing that you have your stamp on everything that they're doing.
Yeah, and I love that you said that. I always say you got to let go if you want to grow, and that control piece of us is this is my baby. How can I trust people?
Mm-hmm.
So I know you mentioned when we were getting on the call today that you've been doing some more research and been learning some more things. Do you want to share with us a little bit about what you have been discovering?
Yes.
All these women entrepreneurs.
So I love statistics. It's my thing. I love reading real research. Tell me 5 things I can do to improve. Sure. Tell me 5 research things I can do to improve. And now you have my attention. So I figured other people might want this research shared with them as well. So let me share some revenue statistics with you. Only 12% of women and 24% of men make it to the 100,000 revenue mark in business. Isn't that great? 12% of women, 20% of men. The $500,000 mark in business, only 4% of women and 8% of men. But here is the shocking part to me. 1.8% of women make it to the $1 million mark. That's gross revenue again. You've probably heard that statistic before, but 6% of men get there. So huge disparity between how both sexes are playing, but also even the statistics for men are sad to me. Only 6% of men making it to the $1 million mark in business. So I'm on a mission to help all of us improve. I wish I had found me or you or someone like us all those years ago when I got started. So I'd love to share with you the top 5 research reasons that hold entrepreneurs back, if you want me to go into that.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so this is based on American Express, a lot of entrepreneur research, the U.S. government does, and then the Kauffman Foundation also does a lot of research. So in no particular order, number 1 is we tend to stop between 250 and 500K in business. And I know the vast majority of business owners who never get there are like, I'd love to stop at 250 to 500K, that sounds great. But that stage of business, honestly, is still painful. There's still not money, flowing as much as you'd like it to. It's still a point where you need more. Because you have a lot of expenses at that stage as well. So what the solution to that is, or the reason why that is, why we tend to stop there, usually that's between 6 to 9 employees in business, depending on your industry. But 6 to 9 employees, if you don't have systems in place, you really are just running around putting out fires, client fires, employee fires, product fires, like everything is on fire and you're just running around. And at that stage of business, without systems, why would you ever want to grow? You can't grow, and why would you want to? You would not want to introduce even more headache and more chaos into the mix, right? Yep. So most people at that stage choose to stay there or even drop down, and they don't want to grow because they can't with systems. So that's number 1. Do you want me to keep on going?
Well, I was just having this realization, and I've seen this before, that when people hit that stage, in their mind, they make up this is way too hard because the way they're trying to grow their business isn't sustainable.
Yes. I just had a retreat last weekend. There's a woman there who had $1 million business, and she had shut it down, closed it years before, and she was terrified to go back into business to really grow her new venture because she was so burned on the first one because she had no systems in place. Yes. And her employees were chaotic and taking over the business. And she hated it. That's not how it's supposed to be.
Right. Totally get it. All right. What was number 2?
All right. Number 2 is we have a problem applying personal finance rules to business finance. We are scared to take out loans. We're scared to go into debt, the dreaded debt, right? So here's the problem with that. We grew up with Dave Ramsey, awesome. Susie Orman, love her and her jackets, like, great financial consumer advice, right? And the consumer advice is if you want to go and buy a $15,000 boat and you don't have $15,000, you should not put that on Visa. And I would 100% agree with that. Except, and there is an except here, if you're planning on spending that for a business. So business rules are totally different. If I want to go out and buy a boat for $15,000, exact same scenario, and put it on Visa, Now it is like a thumbs up if you're going to turn around and rent out that boat for like $1,000 a week and you'll have it paid off in a season or a season and a half. All of a sudden it makes sense. So consumer rules applied to business finance do not work. If you're scared to go into debt, i.e. invest in your business, you're not going to progress very quickly. You will have to have credit cards, HELOCs, other people's money, bank loans, something to get that business off the ground and also to feed that business as it grows, because it will be hungry. So you have to feed that business. And if we just say, I'm just going to take no risk and I'm just going to invest our profits back into the business, that's a brilliant plan if you live to like age 150. But if you are planning on living a normal lifespan, you have got to break that cycle of thinking that consumer finances will apply to business finance.
Great. I love it. I just had a conversation with a client about this last week, so I'm totally on board with that
yes.
one. All right.
What scary. I get it. I know. It's like asking you to break rules that you've learned since you were 3 years old, And
well, it's also like you got to, one paradigm doesn't always, apply to the other paradigm. Yeah. Some of them do. Sometimes you can carry things over, but you're just spot on with this. You can't operate personally the way you do, or you can't do business the way you do personal finance. So
absolutely. Yeah.
All right, what else you got for us?
All right, the next one is going into service businesses versus product-based businesses. So I love me a service business. I'm the founder of 8 businesses, actually. I've sold 3 of them. Some were support businesses, obviously, along the way, but and all of them have been service businesses. So I'm not a service business hater, but it's a lot easier to scale and grow a product-based business.
Sure.
So the challenge then comes into, how do I scale my service-based business? And if you are doing this fulfillment on it, if you're doing the service on it, that's really hard to scale or grow. So what you have to do is hire employees to do it for you. And I get it. Like, I get that control piece that says no one can do it like I can. My employee or my clients actually will only want to work with me. They won't want to work with anyone else. And that's the reason why we can grow so quickly this year. So we're opening up 200, events. And obviously I'm not going to be there for most of those. And the reason we can do that is because we've been able to scale that service-based business with systems and using employees. So that's number 3.
Beautiful.
Ready for more?
Yeah, I think if we do them real quick, we can fit 2 more in.
Okay, last 2 quickies then. Business partners. If I'm going to start a business and I have, let's say, $10,000 to bring to the table, and I have skill sets in finance and customer service, I can only get so far, right? What if I also opened up and said, hey, let's find a business partner that also has funding that will bring in $10,000, $20,000. They have different skill sets. They have more time. Obviously, that business will grow at least twice as fast as if you started up on your own. So why would you not start a business with a business partner? So I always start businesses with business partner. I may or may not keep them the whole time, but we always start with a business partner to bring in that extra money, that extra time, that extra everything to get it off the ground. So that's number 4. And last one, this is actually the government's number 1. The government says this is the indicator on success or non-success, and that is mentors. Do you have a mentor? And that's why I'm so excited that Melanie's here with us today. I'm here with you today. Find a mentor that resonates with you. If I drive you crazy, no problem. Work with Melanie. So find someone that you resonate with. Find someone who's 5, 10, 15, 20 steps ahead of you and follow. And that way you don't have to make all the mistakes yourself. I just signed on to work with a $100 million company, the C-level team. So I get to work with CEO, CFO, COO of a $100 million company because I have not been there yet. And I would love to see how to do it, and I need their guidance. So find a mentor and follow.
Yeah, great advice. I love it. You are so full of wisdom and you have so many great insights, and I know you shared it hasn't always been this way. If you're a small business owner working way too much in your business, then you're not really putting your business to work for you. And you could benefit greatly by learning how to develop a team of world-class players to help you accomplish more and literally free you up to get more done. Now, we all want to shatter our income goals. We all want to be able to accomplish much greater results, but it's really difficult to do if you don't know how to delegate masterfully and be able to get the right things off your plate to the right people who will really get things done. That's where the power of the virtual team comes in. Be sure to get your copy right now at virtualteamebook.com. Kim, what was the biggest pivot point for you along the way? That thing that you learned to do that caused your business to really shift in its success level?
So first of all, pivot points all along the way. And I'm sure everyone says that, right? There's always pivot points. Let me share with you my most recent pivot point.
Okay, great.
Yeah, my most recent is probably about maybe 6 months ago. Huge pivot point. I had a guy on my team who's incredibly talented. He's been on my team for like 2 years now. At the time, he was on my team for a year and a half. And I always figured, my company is Kim Flynn Consulting. If I host an event, people will want me to be there. And so I was there at all of my events, which is a little bit exhausting, just a little bit. So I had this guy on my team who comes from a huge background in training, and he was born to be on the front of the stage, right? And so I was so scared, but I'm like, okay, we are going to have him host one of my free preview events that we host all around the country. We're going to have him do one of them. And I was terrified, and I was like, oh no, the people will revolt that I'm not there, right? Little did I know, he totally crushed it. They loved him more than they loved me. And I'm like, oh man, it's killing me. He's been on my team for a year and a half, and I was too scared to put him in a position where he would really shine. So if you have people on your team and you're holding them back like I was, take it from someone who's just learned this pivot point, but please, please, please hire out even those things that you think, no, I couldn't possibly, this is what my brand is based on.
That's great advice. And I'm glad you shared that, because I think this is a bottleneck for a lot of entrepreneurs who could have so much more impact. They could really scale their business, but they're not letting go of the things that they do best. And I always tell people there's a level at which you start by getting rid of the stuff you don't do well. Mm-hmm. And then as you get more and more successful and more busy, then you let go of the things you do well.
Awesome.
So
can I add to that?
You're the example. Yes.
Let me add to that. People always come to me and they say, well, not always, but frequently they come to me and say, you know what? I'm not very good at marketing, or I'm not very good at finance. So therefore I'm just going to hire it out. I'm going to hire it out. I'm going to hire it out. Awesome. But I need you to learn the basics before you hire it out. So if you just go out and hire a bookkeeper, awesome, but who knows what they're doing with your books. So I need you to have a basic financial knowledge, a basic financial education, and get your systems in place. From a bookkeeper, I would want this every day. I'd want this every week. I want this every month. This is how I would want it done. And yes, I need the business owner to really research that first, and then we're ready to hire a bookkeeper to do it for us.
Yeah, great. And you and I are so in alignment.
Yes.
This was actually a real pivot point for me, because I have no problem delegating and letting go. I would actually over delegate.
Yeah.
And I learned very quickly in my business that you have to have control points. And this goes back to your systems, right? Mm-hmm. And you have to have the places where you know what you're looking for, you know what needs to be done, and you know what information you need to review. You can outsource the doing, but you can't outsource the knowing.
Yes. So your job as CEO, everyone listening, your job as CEO is to learn the fundamentals of every moving piece of your business, set it up into a system, and then hire it out.
Yeah. So let's say we look at the entire trajectory of Kim Flynn, and you're looking back at all these pivot points and all of these big learnings, and where things really had the most power. I like to think of there's usually one main thread why didn't I do this sooner?
Such good questions. Why didn't I, like a big regret then? Why didn't I, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like, usually it comes under the theme of your business really gets optimized. You figure out, oh my gosh, my business performs so much better now. Why didn't I do that earlier? Or I wish I would have known about this sooner.
Yeah, I would have to say tracking everything religiously. If I had started that
good one.
So once you get your sales trackers set up, and this actually is something that I teach all my clients now because it's so important, but once you get all your trackers set up, you know exactly how many leads it takes to make how many appointments, to have how many show appointments, to have how many conversations, to have how many sales, to have how much revenue. And when you have that all tracked, what's so exciting is you don't focus on the revenue number. You don't say, I want to make $10,000 this week or this month or this year or whatever. You don't say that. What you say is, okay, I want to make this much money. Now, how much in the very first metric that I track, how many phone calls do I need to make, or how many ads do I need to run, or how many flyers do I need to pass out? It always goes back to that number. And so then business just turns into a math problem. It's just like, I need to do this to get this. And then you just focus on the activity instead of focusing on the revenue results. That's been key.
That's brilliant. And what basically it's like, what lever am I going to move to get that result? That's great. I love it. So what do you do to keep your inspiration high?
Oh, I like to run, like not physically run, like run in my business.
I like to run my business. No, I mean, I like to run, then run my business.
So I have one of those personalities that just likes to always be really busy. I like to be moving and changing and growing. And if I am in a spot where I feel kind of stagnant, like things have been the same for a while, then I see my motivation just kind of go down. But if I'm like reaching for a new horizon, then the lights come back on for me. So I always am trying to reach for a new goal, change things up, try something new. And my team gets a little bit exhausted by it sometimes. They're like, Kim, go on vacation for 2 weeks and let us catch up, Yeah. But I love the new, I love it. I love growth.
Well, they always say, the job of the leader is to be the visionary, right? You're like always shooting for the vision. What's next? And, if you've done a good job of hiring, then you've hired people who implement those visions. So you just have to give them a break once in a while so they can catch.
Yes.
You had a favorite quote or mantra or anything that you like to turn to? Or
my favorite quote or mantra. I should have read these interview questions beforehand, huh? But you're catching me on the fly, which is probably better.
I'm throwing random ones at you.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the one that I just showed you is one that I always quote to people, to my clients and to my team members. Letting go of control. Growing my business is 100% about letting go of control. I love that Marianne Williamson one. That's a classic that everyone.
The one that's who am I to play small?
Yeah. That one was really inspirational when I was first starting out, and I was just when you're first starting out, it feels like you're like walking across this. Do you remember one of those Indiana Jones movies? There was like this glass walkway. I don't know if you ever saw it. They throw some dust on it to walk on that. Yeah. That's what every day in your business feels when you're starting out. It's just so scary, right? Yeah. So you need all these quotes around you just to give you the faith and the courage to keep walking forward. But after you see success, then the name of the game isn't fear anymore. The name of the game is how fast is it logical to run, right? Because I have to build systems for every change I make or every growth step. You have to build systems. So then it becomes more of a logic problem and less inspirational.
Yes, and I really appreciate that you say that, because I think sometimes people think that if you're really successful, it's just supposed to happen and you know what you're doing and it's all been like lollipops and ice cream. It's like no, you really sometimes you're just walking in the dark and figuring out what you do next when you figure it out, and there's not always a big grand plan. Would you agree?
Yeah. And I think as you get more successful and as you grow in business, you also get really used to that unknown space. Whereas when you're first starting out, it's so, so scary. And the scary doesn't go away. You just get really used to it. And so you get used to running in the dark, and it's okay.
Running in the dark with scissors.
Yes. Put the scissors down though, Melanie. Put them down.
Yes, no scissors. Just run in the dark.
Just run in the dark.
I guess one of the things that I just feel so compelled to ask you, and I think a lot of people would have this on their mind at this point, is what is it that you tell yourself every day to have the energy and the stamina to, like, how do you build that up to, because personalities can take you so far, and you obviously have a go-getter personality, but you've been doing this a long time. So it's got to be more than personality at a certain point. What's the thing that you do in the mindset to keep that stamina and that energy alive?
So rewind a few businesses ago, and I was in a business that I sold about 6 or 7 years ago. I was in that business, and can I be honest with you? I hated it. I hated that stupid business. Like it was like every day it was like a chore to show up, and I had to like print out this motivational thing next to me to even get myself to want to work. I hated that business. And so I would just say, if you're in that stage of business, like, let's sell it and move on, because you really want to be in business in like the gravity model. Like you want this big sun like pulling you, right? And you really want to have like, I don't know, I hate to say the why because it's so overused, but like this big dream of yours, right? You want to have this big dream. And if the big dream has come and gone and you're checked out, it is time to move on from that business. It's time to list it. It's time to sell it. It's time to move on. I know I'm a different person than I was 5 years ago. You probably are too. We're not going to have this one business. It's not like a child. It's not like like you love your baby for your entire life, right? A business is not the same thing. So most people wait until like if you're looking at stocks, like you go up and then you go down, right, in value. Like our business, we're so excited, we're fired up, we're making good money, and then we're like, oh, I'm bored, I'm sick of it, I'm tired, and that's when we sell it down there, right? So I would encourage people, like, when the lights are on for you and when the energy is up and the money's coming in, that is actually when to sell a business.
Great advice. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand, especially as solopreneurs or the people who are the birthers of the business. You hold on to your baby because you put so much into building it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes letting go is about being willing to stop the business or reinvent the business so that you have that motivation and inspiration again. Because there's nothing worse than keeping a business alive just simply because you spent so much time and money building it.
I love the quote.
Not a good reason.
You never throw good time after bad, right? You never throw good money after bad. You never throw good time after bad. So just because you've given it 10 years of your life does not mean you should give it any more of your time.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I have a feeling there's some people that needed to hear that today. And, that's you. Of course, we would love to hear that in the comments below. Or if you're on iTunes or Stitcher Radio, you can pop on over to MelanieBetsonStrick.com and let us know, what's been the inspiration aha today. So Kim, before we leave, I want everybody to know how they can get connected with you. And are you still doing your webinars that you do every month, or is there a better?
Yeah, we're still doing webinars. I have a bunch of free videos, free training to share with people. The Kim Flynn brand is alive and well through 2015, and then we're completely changing our brand in 2016.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know, right? We'll still keep the website up, of course, but 2016, we're going to launch Entrepreneur Simplified. And so either way you want to check us out, what we're going to give you is a 5-video e-course. It's going to go through your time map, how to block out your time, especially for work from home people. It's really hard to blend the personal and the business life. So a time map for that. We're going to talk about the principles of alignment, how to make sure all those areas of your life are in alignment. Then we're going to go into business training with product funnel, packaging, quadrant system for some systems. So all kinds of good training, and it's absolutely free for you. So go to kimflynn.com and just enter your information. You'll be sent all that free stuff.
Great resources. Thanks for sharing them. Thanks for coming on today, Ben. You've got a full plate. You got a million things going on, but it's always so much fun to talk to you and to share, your wisdom with my community, because here's the thing. If you go at this alone, as you know, Kim, and you kind of get in your little vortex, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. There's going to be a lot of stuff you don't see. But listening to people like Kim share her own journey, you're going to pick up on tidbits and you're going to have aha moments. And our whole point here is, what can you implement from what Kim just shared with you today? What's the aha that's going to allow you to make your business work better and do it with less effort? And Kim's got some great resources. We'll put the URL up here so that you can just grab it right here or on the show page. Go get Kim's video series, get those trainings, study them, put them into action, get support, rock your business. Kim, thanks so much for being here today. Can't wait to hear your guys' breakthroughs and ahas. And we'll see you again next week. Bye, everybody.